Hello and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about the future of Warlords of Draenor, and this comes from a bit of information that is related to the final stage of the patch 6.1 legendary quest, which was recently data mined. Now it does tell us some key stuff about the overall plot of Warlords of Draenor, so there are major spoilers contained within this video. Click away if you don't want that stuff to be spoiled and if you want to find it out firsthand. Now this is, I suppose, mainly lore related. It's not like there's any major gameplay announcement here, but it does warrant quite a bit of discussion about the content and duration of Warlords of Draenor, and I suppose now that we have a rough idea what the next patch will be, I think we can infer quite a lot about the maybe next year of WoW. It should be kind of interesting. So you've all had fair warning, and let's just get into it. This comes to us via Blizzard Watch, who pointed out a quest that was recently found on Wowhead earlier on today. It's the final stage of the patch 6.1 legendary quest, though it only seems to have popped up right about now. Anyway, the text reads, "Our campaign in Draenor has taken an unexpected turn. With Gul'dan assuming power over the Iron Horde, history is poised to repeat itself. Our world is in more peril than ever. It's time to bring the full might of your garrison to bear against Tanaan Jungle, marshal your forces, and for my part, I will research ways to counter Gul'dan's magic. I will be in contact with you soon." That is definitely interesting, and it essentially tells us that Gul'dan has taken over the Iron Horde as of patch 6.2. And while there are major lore implications, let's just talk a little bit about the gameplay first. So if this is the main Iron Horde raid, presumably the Iron Citadel in Tanaan, then it makes sense that this is actually the final raid of the expansion. Blizzard have been talking about the idea of this expansion being 2 tiers long for quite a while, and between Tanaan being pushed back, Farallon being cut away, and a few other things, it does seem like this is how it's going to play out. Hell, in a recent Q&A with lead developer Ian Hazzikostas, somebody asked if Warlords of Draenor will be 2 or 3 expansions long, and Ian basically dodged the question and said, well, you know, our main goal is to make sure that the last patch is really short. He didn't say 2 and he didn't say 3, though it does seem like 2 is going to be what it is. I mean, hell, Tom Chilton actually said that they might be doing 2 all the way back in Gamescom 2014, so it does seem to be quite likely. Especially when we remember that we've defeated the Iron Horde everywhere across the planet, apart from Tanaan. There is nowhere else left to go, and if patch 6.2 is going to be that raid, then there's no space for a filler raid. Seems kind of odd. Personally, I am actually a little bit disappointed if this is how it comes to pass. Obviously, this is purely speculation, because I would really have loved to see Farallon appear in this expansion, because they could make some really cool Naru and Burning Legion related content there. Still, with the actual story of Warlords of Draenor completing in the next patch, at least from what we can tell with, you know, the Iron Horde being defeated, it does seem like Farallon won't happen. And then, of course, putting Farallon after that, Iron Horde expansion does seem a little bit strange, you know. It would be a bit of a fluff raid after the main narrative of the expansion has been finished. So basically, it kind of looks like patch 6.2 will be the final raid tier of Warlords. It makes sense in that it will be the Iron Place. It also makes sense in that it is the narrative sort of end to what we started off. Now, according to Ian Hazzikostas, as I said, they wanted tiers to be 6 to 7 months long, and he said that that included the final tier of an expansion. So here is a very wacky, far-out timeline that could be kind of interesting as to the next year of WoW. So, the final raid tier of Warlords of Draenor comes out in patch 6.2 in roughly May or June. It's kind of sad that 6.1 has so little content, but I don't really see much else happening to WoW, as Blackrock Foundry is going to have to take a few months to play out. So, with that patch coming out, I think that the next expansion would be announced at BlizzCon in Q3 of 2015. Now, we don't know what date BlizzCon will be, it hasn't been announced yet. But there is precedent for an August BlizzCon, as this has happened in 2007 and 2009, though all BlizzCons since 2010 have either been in October or November. So let's just say the next expansion is announced at an early October BlizzCon. I think that makes rough sense. Then the next expansion would come out maybe Q1 2016, such that it is actually rather close to the release date of the Warcraft movie. That timeline might seem bonkers, but there are some sources to back this up. In a feature on Kotaku, Blizzard told them that they would actually ideally have the next expansion out in a year's time. And that article was published on the 11th of November, 2014. So that sort of corroborates with what I'm saying. And there was also a leak to a Yahoo Finance person who claimed that the next expansion is nearly feature complete, and that happened roughly a month ago. So those two things, paired with the fact that Blizzard have been talking about how their expanded team is working ahead on future content, means that I think this is not a particularly crazy plan. I think the reason why 6.1 was kind of sparse and maybe 6.0 could have done with more work is because they've been working forward on newer patches, or future patches and future expansions, so that there is never a repeat of patch 5.4 again. Overall, I think that timeline does make a little bit of sense. And they have just been talking, you know, about yearly expansions, getting things out faster, and now that they actually have done the work and increased the size of the team, well, it seems like that is going to perhaps happen. You gotta remember, as much as right now I think some people are discontent with the state of the game, they didn't, like, double or triple whatever the size of the team and then get those extra people doing nothing. Blizzard aren't a stupid business. Those people are working on something, and it makes sense that it's something in the future. Now, the lore section of this video is actually recorded a day after the rest of it, because when I woke up this morning, it actually turned out that people have got to the end of this legendary quest, and we have now seen the cinematic. The cinematic is something that you should definitely watch yourself if you're interested in that. It's currently up on the front page of MMO Champion, so it's quite easy to see. But of course, being a cinematic, many of you will want to see it for yourself. Now, I am going to talk a little bit more in spoiler territory now, so if you don't want to find out any more than what I've already said, again, click away from the video, it'll do you good. So, in the cinematic, essentially, what happens is Gul'dan pops up and says, "Yo, do you want the demon blood again?" Grommash pretty much sticks to his story, says, "No, screw you, I'm not corrupting all of our people." But of course, Gul'dan, pretty powerful, so he kind of knocks out Grom for a little bit, and Kilrogg takes up the demon blood, thus making Kilrogg, I suppose, the new war chief of the Burning, not the Burning Legion, the Iron Horde, but of course the Iron Horde that's now infused with demon blood. Essentially, Gul'dan is saying that Grommash's plan hasn't worked, many of his soldiers are dead, they haven't accomplished anything, so join me, drink the Kool-Aid, and we're going to have a lot of fun. This is pretty cool as far as the lore goes. Originally in this video, I was really concerned that they were going to go with a plotline that involved Grom taking the demon blood and basically invalidating the decision that he made at the start of the expansion in the cinematic. So I really am quite glad that that hasn't happened. And in terms of the lore, it does mean we're going to be having a very, very interesting time. Because what the hell's going on with Grom? I mean, He can't pop over to our side. I don't really think we'd be okay with taking him, honestly. I mean, we know in terms of player power and stuff like that, because we killed Izuku, because we killed Garrosh, that the players probably do have enough power to kill Grom without it being some ridiculous raid boss. I hope that doesn't happen. Like, I hope we don't just kill him off in a questline or something. But at the same time, it doesn't make much sense for him to be the final boss of patch 5.2, because we're now going to have a demon-infused Kilrogg, though it also, to me, doesn't make a great deal of sense that Kilrogg is the final boss, because then we're just really fighting another pumped-up orc as our final boss. There's also the possibility of us dealing with Gul'dan as the final boss, and, well, I suppose, hell, they could even split it into two tiers if they really wanted to, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. I mean, we're going to go into Tanaan in 6.2 and pretty much kill everything. It wouldn't make that much sense for one of them to just teleport away to Farallon or something. So it does look like that's what it's going to be like. The final raid, though, I suppose is going to contain at least a few named bosses. We'll probably off Gul'dan. We'll probably have to kill Kilrogg, obviously, now that he's taken the demon blood. Perhaps one of those people will be killed by the legendary quest, or maybe the garrison campaign. That stuff's all possible. But the contents of this Iron Citadel are going to be really, really cool to see. I'm guessing a bunch of demons, mixed with a bunch of Iron Horde stuff, and I just don't know how they're going to make the end boss interesting and not just another pumped up orc. I suppose we're just going to have to wait and see. It's, I suppose, possible that they could knock off Grommash by having him do some sort of epic sacrifice thing, which is a little bit akin to what the main universe or main timeline Grom did. Definitely the lore is really interesting here, so we'll just have to wait and see how it pans out. Until then, I suppose, good luck getting your elemental tablets from Blackrock Foundry. I don't even have one tablet made yet, because I've been very lazy. I haven't been running my LFRs religiously, and I've just been going off our progression, which, because it's been in Heroic, means we're only at 5 out of 10, so I really need to start farming up those tablets. Anyway, the lore is looking extremely interesting for the next patch, and hopefully the content will be excellent as well. I suppose once we get over the little sort of roadblock of 6.1, the game should be, I think, getting some really cool content. Anyway, that's basically it for the video, so I'm going to take the next 2 days off for the weekend, and there won't be videos on the channel, but I will be working ahead on new ones, so there should be some cool stuff coming next week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.